Hey everyone. I want to welcome you guys to the third episode of Design Kitchen, where basically we want to provide inspiration for innovation. And so today, Stephen and myself, we're gonna come forth with a couple ideas that we have, and really, this whole podcast is to make engineering fun and to inspire future generations and help people be able to connect ideas to action, whether it's us showing people that we're implementing everything that we're coming up with, or offering support for anybody else who's looking to kick off the next product of their dreams, basically.
Yes, if you guys have any ideas, like we're looking for ideas, we're looking for more ideas. We obviously have many of our own ideas. I've had ideas for all my life, and I just every day I think of new little things, and many of them just never really come to fruition. They're more just a passing thought, and I write them down. I always write them down, and I encourage you guys to do that too, because it's just a lot of fun to look at them later. And even if it sounds dumb at first, a lot of times it's you look back at it later and you're like, actually maybe the application where I was thinking it was going to go wasn't quite right. But now, if you tweak the application, you look at it from a different perspective, you get more insight on it. So, yeah, if you guys have any ideas, anything comes up, just let us know. Contact us, and maybe there's something like you want to develop it. You just want some inspiration. You want a little bit of help. Know where to go. Point you in the right direction. Just reach out. Mm-hmm. So we're starting out with current events in science. So I found something online that was really interesting. I didn't have much of a chance to read into it, but basically it was woven nanotube fibers. They turn heat energy into electrical energy. So you can take heat from, they're like woven. They can be woven into fabric, and I'm not entirely sure. I think maybe they're like into clothing even.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
They can take heat energy from the sun. And of course, your body puts off heat energy. And if you can turn that into electrical energy, and efficiency is probably pretty low.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
imagine if everywhere you went, like your clothes were generating electricity, and you somehow were able to charge your phone just by walking around. Right?
Yeah. Like a walking charging mat.
Yeah, and I don't know how realistic is that, and how much power can it put out. I don't know, but every bit of advancement in technology starts with something small, and it starts with something like the first electric cars were terribly inefficient. I mean, now look at us driving hundreds of miles on a single charge. It's the same thing, right? So maybe this thing can't charge anything. Maybe it can't do much at all. But over time, things build up, and a lot of things do fall off. They were great in research, but they don't turn out to be very good in real life. But I don't know. This one sounds really interesting. It'd be pretty cool if I could walk around and be charging my phone and everything all the time, just by walking around and moving, and then by laying in the sun.
Yeah, and the funny thing is too that a lot of the times they'll come up with like random materials, and it turns out that they don't really use them what they were made for, but like a couple years later somebody finds them and like completely like recreates this whole another industry.
Absolutely, yeah. Just like I was talking before, like if you have an idea, you write it down, or and this is kind of the same type of thing. Look at it from a different perspective for a different application, and there you go. Now it really takes off, because if you're looking to put it into clothing, maybe one shirt costs $1,000. That's not realistic. Okay, well, now maybe it gets put into some other application where that cost is reasonable. It makes sense.
Yeah. So, or even, well, I'm just thinking it could also be used for like analytics or something. I mean, if it's using heat spots, there's so many different, I guess, applications once you really start looking at everything but the logical.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, it's funny, it's something that just popped into my head when you said that is, what if you could, and this would probably not have anything to do with this technology that we're just talking about, but what if you had a shirt or clothing that could measure local temperatures of your body throughout your whole body? And if it was like for performance evaluation, I wonder, it probably already exists. I don't know, but
well, I mean,
if that could be useful in any way.
Yeah, that's a direct application of basically how you can take that same data that it's kicking out and just finding a different use for the data itself, like
Mhm.
the heat look,
Yeah.
you can add like, yeah, locationing or, I mean, yeah, I see there's a lot of directional, like heat type of thing that you can set up with it. Cool. So another interesting thing that happened this week, Steve. So I was, reaching out to a couple companies via Infinity Skies, and basically I ran into a person, and I don't want to release their company yet. They did agree that they might be open to joining us for another show in the future and talking about their technology. But basically, the urban air mobility market, it's something that's going to hit in the next 5 to 7 years, where they're going to have those little mini electric helicopters, basically taking people around the cities. There's like partnerships with Lyft already, and so that's kind of the way it's looking. Basically, it started off as urban air, for people transporting, but they're also looking into rural and like more suburban type of cities as well. And right now that technology, it's heavily based on like being pure, electric energy and whatnot. So the person that I met, they're basically developing a hardware slash software tool that's able to collect just tons of data points and anomalies. So, I mean, can you imagine like if every person has their own little UAM private aircraft, any little thing, whether you're steering wrong, whether one of your batteries is weak, so you need like these really high levels of redundancy in the inspection of the equipment. And that's basically what this does is it'll capture individual points, and it'll tell you that there could be a problem before there's even a chance of being a problem.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's going to be
I want if I'm in a little AirSpeeder thing.
Yeah, that's going to be a big problem. Like there's a lot of challenges in urban air mobility in general, and that's basically that's why we don't have them flying around just yet, right? There's just so many different potential problems, and the world isn't quite ready for it, but they are advancing, and I see it coming. But yeah, something like that, like, oh, yeah. If one of my batteries is weak, I want to know before I take off, and I want to know before I run into problems, before anything happens, or if something's getting hot, or there's so many little pieces. There's so many little pieces in a complete system. You definitely want to have good redundancy in inspection and just making sure nothing really goes wrong. Because
I was just gonna say, what I think it's funny actually, they've simplified these Joby Aviation and these Whisks devices. They actually took like the Tesla electric car route, where they just build it like almost like an entire cheap aluminum sand casting frame. And then they just put a bunch of like small little simple parts. They went like as simple as possible, and it's all more based on the electronics. So I think just a funny thing, well, after speaking with them, my plan is to go on like YouTube and look up people that are either like in the process of going into production, or maybe they have like a pretty solid prototype that they build in their own home. And I'm going to start trying to reach out to these people and see if I can connect like that, this technology with what they're doing, and basically come up with like a more robust, market market leader. They can have someone that's been tested, and then you can use that to maybe pivot that technology and applying it into, into some of the more mainstream ones in the future. But I'm also interested because, just how there's like the common cars, there's also like the AirSpeeder, right? So there's this company called AirSpeeder that I've been following, that they talk about like they're working on the Nascar of urban air mobility and vertical lift. And the way they mentioned it, which to me makes perfect sense, is they talk about how all of the new technology in the automotive market, whether it's like seat belts or sensors or whatever, it was originally made in NASCAR because there's like no restrictions and it's easier to go to market with it. So what they're saying, and the way I see it, is like being able to get involved into that AirSpeeder market. You could technically in the future end up with like the Ferrari of the AirSpeeders. You know, everybody's going to have like the Fords and the Chevys and the Dodge. And if you really get in there, you know, because most of them look like little helicopters. And these AirSpeeders look like something from like Star Wars or something, you know, some like AirSpeeder ship. So I think that market in itself is pretty awesome. And it's kind of what I'm trying to work my way to get into too. But that was just something I thought I'd bring up, and hopefully I can get the individual that developed that technology on the show in a couple of weeks and episodes after. But also you mentioned that there was a website that could help people find ideas if they didn't have any.
A website to help people find ideas. Oh, what was that?
Liviri.
So.
Oh, actually, I think I read it wrong.
Yeah, the Liviri is actually, it was just an idea or something that I saw online that I thought was really interesting. Is this is an existing product. It's actually just a product, a company that, you know, because like coming up with a product, a lot of them are just right under our nose. So this one's actually a company that's building reusable shipping containers for perishable goods. So like the timing of it right now being that many people are going to online grocery shopping, right? You just have it dropped off at your house, or it might be shipped. So these are just reusable shipping containers, and they're like thermal, so they're designed for thermal performance, and they're reusable, and they're kind of like coolers in a sense, but they're designed for shipping. So I thought that was pretty cool. A lot of times there's just ideas as like a little bit of inspiration. Like it doesn't need to be a super complex idea, nothing crazy. Don't need to completely reinvent the wheel, but just
thermal packaging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I mean, I've ordered like meal prep services before, and yeah, I just toss away entire like cartons of
Mm-hmm.
foam or whatever they use, different shipping compartments. So that would actually, you know, even if they use that and said, oh, if you ship back or something, you get like a discount or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but I mean, it would probably work as like something like a core charge, basically.
Yeah.
You pay for it up front, but then you get it back if you send it back to them.
Gotcha. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I mean, if I was a meal prep company. Actually, I have a buddy that has a meal prep company. I'm gonna let him know about it and see if they're using anything like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think this kind of ties into that about food and whatnot. So I was thinking, right, this is like a kind of a funny way, right? So I looked out the door and it was like 100 degrees. And I'm like, I would never walk out in this heat. I need like an umbrella or something. And I thought about it. I'm like, why isn't there an umbrella that hooks to your backpack or to your, so there's like little hat umbrellas. There's one that like attaches to a little mini backpack and it just kind of hangs over you. But then the one that I saw that was really cool was this backpack that basically there's like two pole extensions that come off the side, and then the umbrella flips over, almost like you really have like your own awning as you're walking. And that backpack, it's about $100.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too bad, but if I was gonna pay that, you know, I don't want it to only be an umbrella, right? So I was thinking, like, what if like you have your backpack, right, and it has like four little legs for like grounding. You drop it on the ground, umbrella, like full on umbrella, just pops out of it that's covering you, or some kind of awning or shade. Then a little foldable table also slides out of it, and it's maybe like, you know, a little tiny, 12 by 12 table that could, compactly fit in your backpack, almost like an airplane tray. But now your backpack is stationed and there's an umbrella coming out of it, and a little table, right? Well, you can modular modularize it and basically have like a beach backpack where you could open like a compartment, and now one of those open face tents also pops up. And so now you're set up with like a little open face tent. You can have a little built-in stove, like those picnic backpacks that they have, but they don't have the stove. But there's so much things that you can use that for. Another one, for example, if it was camping, you take the exact same backpack and you can put like the camping modular pouches. So now so instead of being a beach tent, now it's a camping tent with like a sleeping bag hook, and then it has like compartments for your trekking poles.
Okay. Yeah. So it's basically, so everything's modular, so you can use it for the beach. And there's like, say, 6 different accessories that go with it, that go to the beach. And then when you're going hiking or camping, you pull those ones out and you replace them with the other kind, which are a little bit different. They have different attachments and different purposes. All
off of a solid frame. I was thinking maybe like an aluminum box frame, which is the edges to hold the structure, and then legs, and then have everything inside of it built in on like slides and extensions and things like that. Almost like the camping with the all of that technology into a backpack.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah. So it would be like, I'm going camping, I need all this stuff that I need for camping. So you grab your backpack, throw in all the camping components to it, and you're ready to go. So you're not forgetting anything. So all of your main supplies are there anyway.
Yeah. Cool. Even, I was thinking, even like, let's say you're like walking somewhere down the street, like maybe like a little downtown area or something, like a beach area, and then you just take off your backpack, put it on the ground, right? It's going to have the footing. You slide out the fan, and then you take out the little table, and you could just sit there with like a little open mobile station,
Yeah.
So I think that would be cool. And, the price point, I mean, if you're paying $100 for a backpack that has an umbrella, I'd rather pay a couple $100 more and have everything else in it, a built-in stove.
Right. Yeah. I think the modularity would make it like having all these various components. So you buy the base, so you sell the base backpack with for $50, and then each of the components is $25 or something. So you just build it up as you want it. Only buy the components you need.
Yeah, depending on I think that would be fun. And
because if somebody goes to the beach a lot but doesn't camp, they don't need the other pieces. So.
Cool. So that was kind of my idea for the week, and this one I'll probably pursue and throw in some sketches. I want to at least see how things could fit together, because that'd be fun. I mean, imagine like it's all little modular rectangles that are attaching to the backpack, but each one has like a whole slide system built in that just completely assembles into something else.
Yeah.
Modularity.
Yeah.
You can have like a telescoping pole, for example, and then you bend that, and then you like rotate it into like 4, and then you could expand the shield over it, and now you have this huge like 6-foot shade over you just from a little backpack that you were wearing.
Right. Yeah.
The table. And then since it would have the 4 base, instead of having like the flat, I would maybe put like four legs that maybe fold out so that it's literally like lodging itself no matter what terrain. Almost like a 4 motorcycle stands, almost like. Yeah. So I might throw something together, but I think this really ties in with the one that you mentioned about the personal fish cleaning station.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about something. I was just recently went fishing. I got home and I'm trying to clean these fish, and I'm doing it kind of on my porch. I have a little cutting board. I'm kind of at an awkward position. I didn't have a folding plastic table, which really that'd be pretty good for it. But the thing is, like, so when you're preparing a fish, you cut. There's a lot of scrap pieces. Then you clean it, and you want to bag it and seal it. Probably vacuum pack it is what I do with a lot of my stuff before I freeze it. So I'm cleaning it. I'm dealing with all of the waste stuff and trying to keep that from getting mixed up with the good stuff, and then it's a little bit of a mess, and especially when you don't have a good setup, it really makes it uncomfortable. But so if you had a fish cleaning station, basically like a little plastic folding table, you fold it out. It has a built-in like little sink on there and a built-in cutting board, and where you could just hook up a garden hose and turn the water on, clean your fish. It has like a hole in the middle where you could connect like a bag or something for disposal, like kind of like a just some way to dispose of the fish. The other problem is disposing of that stuff. If you throw it, just tie it into a bag and throw it into your garbage can, it stinks. It smells horrible after a couple of days, especially after sitting in the sun.
Yeah.
I nearly had to throw a whole garbage can away because of it. It smelled so terrible. but if you had something set up that was really well sealed, so you could just slide it all into the bag, seal it up, and then throw it away and make sure you know that it's not going to make a mess, it's not going to smell very bad, and you have all of your like everything really nice, easy to clean up, sanitary, you know, because you don't want anything where the fish guts and stuff can kind of get into little cracks and places. So yeah, I've been kind of thinking about it. I built one at one point, and it wasn't ideal. It was a big stainless table that was not folding, so it was really kind of inconvenient, but it worked. But I've looked around a little bit, I've seen little bits and pieces, haven't seen exactly what I'm looking for. So yeah, maybe it's something that could fit the market. And especially if it's something that you could take with you when you go, out fishing. Let's say if you can, because they make like buckets for water with a pump, you connect your pump to it, so you can do it even at the lake. So you go fill your bucket with water, connect it to it, turn on a pump, or maybe it's like a hand crank or a pressurized, you know, kind of like a chemical sprayer thing. You pressurize it, then you squeeze the trigger, and it works for a little while. Right? So you pump it up, build up pressure, use it. So yeah, I think something like that would be really nice. I mean, really the market for it, there are a lot of sport fishermen, and so I think there's some value in a product like that.
Yeah, I was, as you were talking, I was thinking you can have it like all modular out of a cooler or something that typically people are going to carry anyway. Because I was thinking, you know, it could be a backpack similar to my modular idea, completely focused for fishing, or even like a cooler, right? Because you already have that plastic table, it would just be like a slide up, and then you know, and I'm not too familiar with the process of it, but you could even have like hooks to hang it if you need to, like, I'm thinking, I mean, that's more for cattle, but you know.
Yeah. No, yeah, that could be, build it into a cooler, so you have kind of a multi-purpose thing, and like the backpack idea too. That could be good, because really the thing is like carrying it around, and ideally you wouldn't be carrying it very far at all, but still, even if you carry it 100 feet, it's nice to have some way to easily carry it.
Yeah, actually, I'd be interested in jumping in on this too. You know, if it was like some kind of, because it could be, you know, for fishing, but it could also maybe modularly be used to hit other industries too. You know, that like.
But what about gardening? Say somebody has a garden and they want to clean their vegetables, they want to kind of cut them up, process them in some way, you know, to some extent outside, get all the dirt out, especially root vegetables, right? You pull root vegetables out, they're covered in dirt. You want to cut little pieces off of them, cut the bad parts off of them. So you have a little hole like for a waste container built into it, so you can throw all your scraps in there, and you have your water running. You can rinse them off and prep them and have it set up. And again, even a lot of vegetables, you vacuum bag them or something like that. So you have it set up so it's really easy, convenient to process things quickly. Because I find that for myself is we have a lot of fruit trees out in the yard, but really it's like I don't have a super convenient setup to process everything. So I find that a lot of it goes to waste.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, if it was more convenient to handle a lot of this stuff, I would probably put a lot more of it to use. But yeah,
that'd be interesting, kind of mixing the two.
Yeah.
Or at least having one for each one.
Yeah.
It doesn't require cartridges. And then the other.
Yeah. So this other one. So I've been I don't know if you've ever been mountain biking or tried to pump up a tire on a bike or even pumping up a ball, but with
Yeah.
one of those small hand pump things. I'm not talking like a floor pump, but I'm talking something that would fit in a little backpack.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Times. Like those little tiny...
They're little tiny things, and it takes a long time, and it's inconvenient. So one of the big things with them is that it's like an unnatural motion. You know, the motion that when you're pumping with your hand, whereas like a cycle motion when you're spinning, it's so much easier because it's a continuous motion. You're not reversing.
Yeah,
so
no, that makes sense.
So like a rotary air pump, they make rotary air compressors, but now if you miniaturize that and put it into a little pump, the big thing about it too is I think you can make it a lot more compact. So it wouldn't, or maybe overall volume maybe be pretty similar, but it wouldn't be so long. So it would be more like a phone size, but maybe like you take an iPhone 11 or something, and stack 4 of those on top of each other. So it'd be thicker, but about the same dimension otherwise. And you put a little hand crank handle on it, you crank that thing. So it would be much faster than a conventional pump. It would be more natural motion, and it doesn't require cartridges like a CO2. That's the problem. That's my big thing with CO2 pumps is I have to carry the cartridges with me too. And then once I use one, that's it, it's done.
Yeah.
So I think I'd like to look into that a little more. I haven't seen anything that exists. I don't believe it does. And maybe it's too expensive. Maybe it's cost prohibitive in some way, but I think there is a way to bring the cost down enough that it's reasonable.
It's almost like you basically now you have a turbine in a sense. Yeah, I mean, because I can't pinpoint exactly what device I've used before, but it was a rotating thing, and it had a button that the more I pressed the button, it would basically make that thing spin. And it might have been one of those generators. I don't know if you've seen that they have some crank. So the thing it was just pushing that button over and over again, which basically that's how it transferred the motion into the rotation from manual.
Yeah.
So there's that. I mean, that would be interesting. I mean, that thing's never been changed since we were children and before that.
I know. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool. I guess from my end, my plan for this coming week is just to start reaching out to private urban air mobilities, and maybe I can have like an episode heavily focused on some of the urban air and go more into that. But I think this backpack thing would be pretty fun. I might kick off some like industrial sketches too, and see if it's something plausible once I have it like, in front of me.
Yeah, and I'm going to do a pretty similar thing. So I'm looking at the fish cleaning station, look at it, see if I can use something that kind of already exists and just modify a little bit, or in some way where it doesn't, so keep the cost down. If you can modify something, if you can take something that is like 90% there and you just modify it a little bit, you're so much better off already, because it's driving costs down because they already invested. Like some other company, you're using their product and then modifying it in some way, or maybe you piggyback off of it and use that same company that makes it. And if you can
private label,
if they can use the same molds in some way, but just maybe modify them a little bit, rather than paying $100,000 for a new mold, you're paying $40,000 for a modified mold, right? So you can drive costs down quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, you could always just private label it or white label it too. Depending on the openness of the manufacturer.
Yeah, and if you can just make a deal with them somewhere.
Yeah, be like, hey, just sell me this product and add these features. I mean, if it's a contract manufacturer, they should be open to it as long as they have the patents. I mean, if you could always go to Asia and they'll take anything from anyone.
Yeah. Which
I'm okay doing it. like reaching out to them and having the product made. Which is, I mean, I worked with that in the past. So we could always, if we need to go like full assembly line, like we can go on Alibaba, for example, and just reach out to those manufacturers, and all of them most of the time are open to modifying the product if you ask them. So it's not even like breaking any copyright or anything like that. It's literally just pick a product and they'll modify it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good, I mean, that's kind of the start. I like what you said, finding an existing one and then maybe finding a similar one.
Yeah, so that's it for this week. Time to get to work. Get sketches.
Well, we had a great call today. You know, we do want anybody that has ideas or that wants to bring up topics, you know, to reach out to us. My personal one, it's Angel_Lopez at infinitysks.com. You could also reach out to us at the information that we're going to put in the description below. What about you? Do you have a specific way, or do you just want to funnel?
Yeah, you can email me. So it's kaisersteven@gmail.com. So KYSARSTEVEN@gmail. But also, I think the best way I think we can do is just set something up on the website so people don't have to try to remember anything. But if you can just click on the link, go in the notes, click on a link, get to the website, contact us, and there you go.
Everything's gonna be in the description. And but yeah, no, thanks everyone for joining again, and we'll see you guys next week. So have a great rest of your week and check us out at designkitchen.org.